Hello, hello! On today's show, I'm actually going to give a full review on Thor, Love and Thunder. Going to see some cool San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, and Mike's going to teach us something about the Killing Joke we didn't know. Welcome to your favorite live streaming, whatnotting podcast, Comics and Collectibles in the Crawl Space by Xcellar Comics. As usual, I am your fourth or fifth favorite podcaster, Kevin. And also, as usual, I have two amazing co-hosts here as well. You want to say, hey, Mike?
Hey, everyone. It's good to be here.
And then, of course, Patrick.
Good day, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Pat.
So I just realized as I started, my mic would have been good to have here instead of here when I did the intro. I don't know. Maybe I went with the coolness factor, which was better than the sound factor. I don't know. But, hey.
I'm going to get one of those overhead ones one of these days.
Yeah, that's cheap. One of the big ones you mount on the wall when we get like an actual station you can have, and you just mount it, and it's one of those that they just move around like this in front of their face or beside their head or whatever. Right. Yeah, I want to be that cool too someday. So I guess we want to start off the show with your profits set up, right, Mike?
Yes, sir. There we go. Okay, so here we have covers for 10 open order comic books coming out this upcoming week, July 20th. The Xcellar Group and our families have selected their top 3 favorites. In order for you to win the Profits contest, you must post a comment during this live stream of the 3 covers that you think we've selected as our top 3. Any order, you don't have to pick them 1, 2, or 3. Just pick the 3 that are there, and you will win your choice of one of the comics listed in the top 10. And we'll ship it to you at no charge. We'll cover the postage. And the cutoff time for your submission will be announced at the beginning of the Pick 3 segment later on in today's show. So you can go over to the Facebook page, have a closer look at each of these covers, and then come back over here and post your comment on what you think our 3 favorites are.
Awesome. Lots of great choices this week, too. And, man, I've said it once, I said it again. If this show wasn't ours, I'd be watching it every week just to get a free, awesome comic.
Yeah. And it's fun to pick favorites. Everybody likes lists and favorites, you know?
Yeah. All right, so we actually talked about in the pre-show with just us a few things we want to do first, but we can't do everything first. So I'm just going to go with sticking with the free stuff as the first things, we talk about, just updates on everything. And I changed my mind again. I don't know whether I have more ideas or I changed my mind more. Regarding the Fun Fan Freebie, I think the last time we actually talked about it, we talked about having it up for 2 weeks, but then I had it up for 3 weeks. So then we talked about making sure we were up to 2 weeks again. But, I just came up with another one this week. And I was just thinking, if people, for as much work as I put in to lay out the Fun Fan Freebie every week, hopefully, someone wants to come. And it'll be 5 comics in the Fun Fan Freebie lot after this show, too. So it's getting to be a pretty sweet lot already. So I think changing it every week is fair. Are you guys okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So the first word of the Fun Fan freebie phrase for this week is astronaut. Or actually, more specifically, astronauts, plural. Okay.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got my wife participating in that one a little bit, if you couldn't tell. But did anybody get the Fun Fan freebie from last week?
Yes.
What is it, Pat?
Regularly excited whatnotters.
Nice.
Give me my comics.
I crack myself up every time I come up with these.
Yeah.
But yeah, regularly excited whatnotter would have gotten you 4 great books if you
Gets
knew
me
that last
nothing.
week. What'd you say, Pat? Sorry.
It gets me nothing.
But yeah,
you
sorry,
could
Patty.
you could get free comics, so
Yeah.
get on it, everyone.
Yeah. You just got to get the first word from today's show, astronauts. Second word from the podcast I'll post no later than Tuesday. That's an edited version of this live stream. And then 2 ways to get the third word by watching the Whatnot show, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The very variant show, I should say, by Xcellar_comics on Whatnot. And then I also post a brief podcast just to be able to have a place, if you missed the show, you can refer back to get the third word. And I post that no later than Saturday. So not much time on that third word if you missed the Whatnot show on Friday, especially when I posted at like 10:30, which is what I did this yesterday. But anyway, that's the biggest reason to check out that podcast anyway, just to get the third word if you missed the show. All right, a couple other updates regarding the Scruffles goals. I say sweepstakes there. I guess it should be giveaway. We have 32 now. Moved up another one.
Yeah. 1 a week.
So like I said, I guess we got 18 weeks to go if we keep at this pace before we get to our goal, which is 50 followers on YouTube. And once we reach that 50, everybody that's done any of those things that you just saw in that graphic is entered into a giveaway where we will give away 2 movie tickets, a digital code to purchase your favorite movie or show, an action figure, and a Funko Pop. Oh, and a CGC comic book. And as I've said before too, once we get closer to 50, I guess it's possible we could go from 32 to 50 overnight, which would be great. I'd have to really scramble at that point. But once we get closer to 50, since it's kind of a slow burn, I'll show what specifically the CGC comic is. We'll make that decision, and specifically what Funko Pop it is, and specific, all the specifics basically.
Right.
So, but we're getting there. And then I also want to mention that we have a TikTok account now, or better known as Tic Tac.
I was making fun of a TikTok.
And we're looking for some subs on there. I guess we're primarily just going to post our recap, which is a fun broke down segment that's very short. I think it's been a minute or maybe a couple seconds longer than that the past couple weeks. I've done it for 3 weeks now. It's fun. It's a recap of the show, and that's what we're posting on TikTok. So if you subscribe to us on TikTok, you can not only see that, but then also I think, Patrick, you posted the profits info. And who knows what we'll add there if we get a bunch of subs there. I mean, we're doing pretty good with subscribers on Instagram. We got like 130 some. And then the Whatnot, I said last week that I wanted to get over 100 subscribers on Whatnot, or followers, whatever. And we went from 83 to 113
Good.
in this past show on Whatnot. So we're making progress there too. And it's all to just keep all of this alive, to get good stuff and good information out there, right?
That's right.
Yep.
All right, and the last thing with the freebies is the random username shout out. The random username shout out for this week is Stemo1987. That's spelled STEMO 1987. And basically, Stemo, if you are watching the show right now and you comment while we're live, we'll give you 25% off your next purchase from our eBay store at Xcellar_comics. But do not fret, Stemo. If you are watching this in the years 2035, you can still comment now. And as long as YouTube still exists then, and we get the notification that you've commented, we'll give you 10% off of your next purchase at Xcellar_comics on eBay. Note how I questioned whether YouTube will exist in 2035, but not Xcellar Comics.
Right.
But anyway, so that's the random username shout out. Stemo1987. All right. Now, Mike, you had a couple other things you wanted to kind of do as first as we could, I guess we should say. The first one, let's do the spinner wheel. We talked about last week how we were going to maybe change the format up a little bit to be able to get all the segment ideas that we've had on previous shows into the mix. But we've got so many, our shows would be like 7 hours if we did them all.
Yeah.
So in the interest to try to keep the shows as short as possible, which we definitely have a tough time doing, you came up with the spinner, or, we talked about the spinner wheel, right? And this has all of the segments.
Yeah, the ideas for future segments.
Yeah, all the ideas for future segments. And we're going to stick with 4, right? We're going to stick with, no matter what, we're going to stick with what Kevin watched, Mike's Did You Know, Mike's Pick 3. Since those are both short, I figured that we do those 2 together.
Yeah.
And then Pat's Collectibles on the horizon. So those will be our 4 standards, period. Or do we want to have the reviews to be a standard too, you think? What do you think?
I like the reviews as a standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then we'll have 5 standards, including the review. So basically it's 1 for each of us and then 1 of us all as a group.
Yeah.
As the 5 standards.
Right.
And then we'll add what do you want to, I guess it depends on what segment you roll.
Yeah.
Because if it's like the unique, that'd be a long one, so we'd only want to do 1 additional segment. So I guess we'll kind of decide that as you spin it, Mike. How's that sound?
Yeah. But yeah, let's spin it and see what happens.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
There we go. Magic moment. Magic.
Oh,
together.
man. The magic moment.
And then we'll go ahead and hide that slice. So boom, it removes it.
All right. So next week will be our first magic moment, which will be highlighting what's going on recently with Magic the Gathering, the tabletop card trading card game. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you only want to go with 1 because you're assuming that's going to be long?
Yeah, I figured that's
That'll be enough?
yeah.
If I'm in charge of it, it might not be. But if Tyler wants to get involved, or I can get Michael, our third Mike technically our second, actually, Mike of our show, he could come on. That might be kind of long. Okay, so we'll just stick with 1 for that.
Yeah, because I assume, at least one of those guys can be a part of the show.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that I don't know whether it's going to be a problem or not. Hopefully not. We're kind of winging this new thing, but basically picking it today, that gives me a week to either prep for it myself when it's a segment for me, obviously, or get guest hosts if it needs to.
Yeah.
This will be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
And especially because this is Magic. I mean, the only thing worse than this would be the Pokemon, because I think none of us, at least we still look at Magic stuff.
That's true. Well, not Patrick. He's mentioned. I actually, and I mentioned this already once. So I'm going to just kind of discuss it for a second here. Is I definitely got on a tear for our show this past week. I listened to episodes 1 through 9 of our show from beginning to end.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun too, man. I jokingly have said it before. I'll say it again. I'm our biggest fan. It was, I loved it so much. And especially, now it's not only enjoying the content specifically, but also appreciating what we started at to where we are now,
Yeah.
So I
I'll have to
plan
go back
on
and
continuing
check
that
them out.
journey.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and check a few of those early ones out.
Yeah.
Marcus and I watched the very first Dude Perfect video.
Okay.
The other day, just to see where they came from. It was just when they were in college.
Right.
At the house they all lived in their backyard. Shooting basketball tricks. That was pretty good.
Was it really raw, but just entertaining, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was everything. Because
were they good out of the gate? Those, were they like? Were they refined out of the gate? I guess I should say it like that.
No, it was just them with the camera in the backyard. They went so long that it got dark, and they were still doing it.
That's funny.
So,
That's fun.
Yeah.
This was another thing I was going to mention in the pregame that I cut myself off and said I'll just save it for the show. Is one thing I was reminded of listening to our episodes. Our year anniversary of doing all this is 1 week before your birthday, Mike. Or actually, your birthday was a day before this one episode, and we talked about our first show was a week before that. So I guess it's only 6 days. 6 days, so that'd be the 11th. September. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Let's make it September 10th. Let's not make it this. Let's not make September 11th our anniversary. Okay, so our year anniversary is September 10th. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. So we got to have something. I was thinking that. I was like, man, we got to have a special 1 year anniversary episode of some type.
All right, we'll come up with some good stuff.
What would be really great, but that timing's not exactly right. Would be great if a get together landed on September 10th. I think that's a bit early though for when we usually can get our get-togethers to happen.
Yeah, because that's when school's just getting back into swing.
Right.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah. But anyway, whatever Sunday is closest to September 10th, I guess we'll plan on that being our 1 year anniversary episode. And I'm excited for it. I got to come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. It needs to be nuts. Let's get nuts. All right.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So then the last first thing of the first things is, what's the name of your new segment, Mike? I'm sorry. I forget.
In case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know. I like that. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you had a good in case you didn't know for us today, right?
Yeah. And I started a completely, because I have a list, and I just went down in order. And the next one on the list, as I started doing research and reading and stuff, wow, it got out of hand real fast. And I needed more time. It's like, this one's too big.
All right. Do you want yourself to be centered for this, or do you want us off to the side?
Well, I have pictures for it, so I'm going to stop my camera and then just put pictures up.
Okay.
So, yeah. There we go. I'll work on pictures. So this week we're going to be talking about The Killing Joke. So this came out in March of 1988. I still remember the day this came out, buying this. You guys
I do too.
Yeah.
It's
This
one of
one-
my very few comics that survived the wholesale sale for me to move down here.
Yeah. And this was early in the prestige formats for me.
Yeah.
They didn't come out that often, and they're a little more expensive.
Yeah.
Had to skip a few more lunches for these.
Yeah.
So per Brian Bolland, the idea for The Killing Joke was his. And after The Watchmen had been published, he asked that Alan Moore be the one to write the story. So what they used was the origin of the Joker from Detective Comics 168. And the story was titled The Man Behind the Red Hood. There's the interior page right there. So Bowen had stated that he feels it's one of many possible Joker origins. And this was actually hinted at within The Killing Joke, where the Joker says, sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If we're going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. Which with the three Jokers and everything that's come in the last 10 years, they've really ran with the multiple Joker,
Right.
multiple origins, all this stuff.
And they threw in the Joker movie to boot. So
right. Yep. So, which I don't yell at me. It's no surprise. I haven't watched it yet.
You should. You should.
I know. So, The Killing Joke marked the end of Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. And,
right.
Because initially, the book was meant to be a standalone one-shot, but eventually it became canon, and Barbara Gordon stopped being Batgirl. She became Oracle.
Right. And
in where are we here? In 2010, there was J. Michael Straczynski wrote Ladies' Night Out in Brave and the Bold number 33. Cliff Chiang did the artwork for it. And in the story, Zatanna had a precognitive dream seeing the Joker shoot Barbara. Unfortunately, she was unable to prevent the event. And so she went out with Diana and Barbara one last time. And so this is great. Within this, you've got the Killing Joke panels, showing leading up to the Joker.
Oh, shooting. Wow.
So it had, it was a short book in 1988, but the effects were just felt years and years to come, and people were still.
It just keeps wrinkling through time. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. So in 2011, DC created the New 52, and it altered a lot of character stories and origins. The events which took place in The Killing Joke were left intact, though. And within the New 52, Barbara recovered from her paralysis, and she was once again Batgirl.
Honestly, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. And then in 2008, DC released the deluxe edition hardcover, and it's a larger size with all new colors done by Brian Bolland. And on the left is the original. On the right is Brian Bolland's coloring. He wasn't happy with the colors that John Higgins had done back in 1988. So when the opportunity came up for the anniversary edition, DC allowed him to go in and color it the way he thought it should have been colored initially.
He thought it should have been much gloomier, I guess, right. Huh?
Yeah. I think Higgins really went with the vibrant and the shocking colors.
Yeah.
And I think Brian Bolland's are more real world colors.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have an idea on which one you prefer?
I like the concept of both, actually, because I'd imagine the vibrant colors and being that way is more towards kind of Joker's persona kind of comic book, as opposed to then the darker, more realistic colors are more story orientated, where it's a very dark story kind of thing. That's the way I look at it, though. I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, and then here you can see where Bolland did the flashback scenes as black and white. Very typical, I think, on flashback scenes. So
yeah, I'm going to say I like the darker ones better. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I like both of them, actually, but I guess I'd kind of lean towards Boland's version because that's the way he wanted it. That's the way he envisioned it, or at least that's what he's saying in modern day times.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything about, at the time of its release, any issues that he had with the coloring.
Yeah.
And I actually have the anniversary disc, so I have both versions, and it's nice to be able to have both. I, like on the pages here, I think the original colors are just so much. They work a lot better for what's going on. It's real shocking. It's kind of like Creep Show, and how that was filmed, and some of the stuff was just really crazy with the bright colors on the Crate episode. And that's what I equate this to.
It's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually got a recent copy of the it was a recent being within the last couple of years, a hardback of the Killing Joke Noir. It's kind of changed up a little bit in it though. Did we talk about that, Mike? Do you know that?
I have it. I don't know if we talked much about it or not.
Okay. And I thought the cartoon adaptation was really good too.
Yeah, it was good. They added that whole thing with
him and Batgirl at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only part I thought, why is that in there? But everything else was true to form with the book. I liked it a lot. Did you see that one, Pat? The cartoon?
I haven't watched that yet. No.
It's really good. It's really spot on with the book. And I would say, and this is, might want to put this on the segment wheel. We've talked about it. You know what? You should have 2 segment wheels. You should have one that are like common segments, and then one that are like special show segments. Oh, that's a good idea. Because we talked about having the covers battle contest.
Yep.
And now I'm talking about the year anniversary show. And here's what I just thought regarding the Killing Joke. If I were to nail myself down to list my top 10 favorite books of all time, Killing Joke would definitely make the top 10. I'm 99.9% sure of that. It'd possibly make the top 5 if I really had to scrutinize it, So
yeah, we
need a wheel to talk about our favorite books, because that would be a whole show,
Right.
That's what you need. We got the segment wheel. We need a show wheel for how many times we've talked about, that could be a whole show. And then we won't even do the regular segments, and then maybe we'll do it on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah. I got this vodka here. Let me go ahead and get ready for all that.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. That'll be good.
But that was interesting. Definitely a few things in there I didn't know. That's for sure.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week I can tell you something you didn't know again.
And hopefully next week I'll have time to get that intro worked out. Because I do have an idea. I just didn't have any time to work it out. When I wasn't doing my day job or sleeping, I was working on all the other things that I do all during the entire week.
Right. It's a lot of work, man.
It is.
Just that took me probably 2 hours to come up with all that, and I wrote it and then rewrote it, and looking for the pictures, and
thank God it's fun for us, right?
Right.
It all worth it.
Fun.
All right. I think we covered all the first things first that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that it? Okay. So let's go ahead and move into our first regular segment. Okay, like I said last week, trying to refine this a bit and minimize. I've watched a lot more than the 4 things I picked, and I'm gonna tweak this as I go along every week. Get kind of a standard, couple old, couple new. I've actually got 3 old and 1 new this week, and then shows versus movies. Kind of try to have some kind of standard. I don't even know if that's possible because there's so much. There's so many different things in different formats, and I like the older stuff, obviously. So we'll see. But the first one I got this week is Absolutely Anything. Are either of you familiar with this?
No.
No, I mean I recognize Simon Pegg and Kate Beckinsale and Eddie.
Yeah, this is lots of big stars in this. Yeah,
Wait,
obviously.
Robin Williams?
Huh?
Oh, that's the dog. Robin Williams.
Yeah, which was the first thing I was going to say. There's two things interesting about this. One, that's what I was going to say. Robin Williams plays the dog. But then two, this is actually his last movie before he passed. This came out in 2015. I watched this on Amazon. Amazon's definitely my go. There's just so much on Amazon I enjoy, so I stick with that a lot of the time. But this is a comedy where you've heard this story before, where us as dumb humans send out a space capsule or satellite or something into space with information about ourselves and where we're located to try to make friends with any life forms that are out there, right? You've heard that story before, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? It backfires. Which I think every time that story's ever been told, it always backfires. It never works out well.
Right.
It's not like anyone goes, "Oh, this is awesome," and the aliens come and we're friends. It always is a prelude to disaster. And this really isn't very different. But like I said, it is a comedy. So there's nothing heavy going on here, but basically these intergalactic aliens, they get the info from us, and basically what they do, it's like this intergalactic empire, no Star Wars reference or anything like that, but basically what they do when they find new planets and new life forms is they test these life forms and they judge them. They have a council of the superiors, and they judge the new life forms that they've discovered to see if they're worthy to be a part of the alien republic that they're all a part of. And the way they test them is they give one life form of the life forms that they find the ability to have the power to do absolutely anything. And literally it's that. Like, so no matter what he wants, then Simon Pegg, obviously is the main character here. I can't remember his name right now, but he's the one that the aliens give the ability to do absolutely anything. And of course, as you can imagine, again, this is kind of a redone story in a bunch of different ways over the years. He has to learn things. First he has to learn he has it, but there's no aliens that tell him. That no one talks to him. They just give it to him and see what happens. And then, like I said, they judge if they're worthy based on what this one life form does with this ability to see if they can be a part of the aliens republic. So, and Kate Beckinsale is his. He lives in an apartment. She lives in the apartment next door. He loves her. So of course, when he realizes he has powers, that's one way he gets her to date him and stuff like that. Because of course, she's better than him or whatever. And then Robin Williams as the dog, he once again to use his powers. He hates how his dog's always barking at him and making noises, and he can't understand him. So he makes his dog he makes him be able to understand his dog. So
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because you'd think he'd do some nefarious things with him.
Yeah, he does. He goes through this, there's this growth,
right?
Of him learning not only, that he doesn't know he can do absolutely anything too. He just knows he can do stuff, and then he basically tests it with the absolutely anything. And then one thing I did like about this too, as he makes mistakes, he learns that since he can do absolutely anything, he can just undo his mistakes, And it's kind of like the old genie story too, or the old evil genie story, I should say, where how they try to trick you. If you don't say something specifically right, they'll twist it to make something else happen,
Right.
Like first thing, he's kind of he's not like a stud or anything, that's just how they portray his character. I'm not judging. But one thing he says, I want to have a gorgeous body. And he actually turns in his opinion, a gorgeous body is a woman. So he gives himself the body of a woman. And he's like, no, I'm a man. And then he gives himself. So there's a lot of comedic, things with all of that, which it's great. And this movie had a lot of potential, but this really felt like, and I've used this reference before, but I don't know if I've done it on any of our shows, so I'll explain a little bit. Is this reminds me of a Stephen King book. This was great for like 85% of it. And then it's like they didn't write it out fully or something. So they just had to then write this quick, let's end this now kind of, at least every time, I've read or watched Stephen King movies, I get that feel, the endings just don't live up to the rest of the movie. And that's how this one was. So I didn't dislike it. But I don't really give it like a big, like to you two, you need to go watch this, if you have the opportunity and it's options you're looking for, it's not horrible, but the ending really didn't fulfill the rest of the movie for me. So it's kind of and on a scale of 1 out of 10, I'd give this like a 6.5 then, I guess, it's not
like
bad.
They kind of get bored writing it.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
They get bored writing it.
Right. Well, I feel like, with that ability, there's so much to do. I feel like they kind of were doing so good, and then
Must be done.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like I said, it's not bad. 6.5 for me. And then I got. Sorry, what'd you say, Mike?
A lot of people. Chelsea really likes in that. In addition to Simon Pegg, she's a big Eddie Izzard fan. And Joanna Lumley from Ab Fabs. She's always liked those three. So I like Rob Riggle too. He always plays sort of the doofus or the bad guy, the loud, obnoxious bad guy. But he's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, everybody was great. Definitely all the acting was great, and the dialogue was great. Yeah, it was just the plot kind of went kaput a little bit too early. But yeah, so I definitely think, especially since you're mentioning that with Chelsea, she'd dig it too. I'm a big Simon Pegg fan. Anything that Simon Pegg's in, I want to check out. I don't know if I've watched any Simon Pegg movies I didn't like, so.
Yeah.
And then I could watch everything with Kate Beckinsale in it all day as well. But anyway, on to the next one. So I finished Jay and Silent Bob's reboot. Again, this was a request for you, Mike, that I kind of glommed onto by Johnny.
Yeah, I keep forgetting.
Yeah, and it is... it's everything you'd expect from a Jay and Silent Bob movie, of course. This is obviously just for adults. And, recently in our Xcellar group, we've talked about, gratuitous, vulgar, sexually explicit, jokes and all this, in our hobby, which I'm not a big fan for. But, I'm a big Jay and Silent Bob fan. And so you definitely should expect a lot of regular vulgarities, explicit sexual things, and regular consistent cursing, so if, drug use, all of it, but I love this a lot. It's it's a star-studded cast with the, typical Jay and Silent Bob co-stars, literally anybody you could think of that's ever been in any one of their movies, starting from Clerks, obviously Mallrats, Chasing Amy, they're all in this. And this is, the reboot reference in this title is a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And it's about Blunt Man and Chronic, the characters that Jay and Silent Bob created. And it's a big adventure that ends at what they call a Chronicon, which obviously is very Comic-Con-ish-y, but it's about Blunt Man and Chronic, and it's fun. And I love this especially, so I think you will too, like Johnny was saying, Mike. Pat, were you ever a big Jay and Silent Bob fan, or what?
Yeah, Chelsea and I both were really. I feel like he did the when he did Zack and Miri with Seth Rogen and went total pothead. I think that's where Kevin Smith started to sort of go downhill for me.
Okay.
Not judging, but he just, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I definitely think his later stuff obviously is not as good as the earlier stuff. But what I will say about this that I thought was particularly interesting that made me like it more is, these guys are aging pretty much right along with us.
With us, right.
And so, obviously Kevin's had Harley for a long time, his daughter, but Jay has a daughter now too, but I think she's a toddler still. Isn't she really young? I think
so.
But anyway, so that's a big plot line of this movie is, I mean, spoiler alert, either one of you want to check out?
I think I kind of know what you're gonna say, so it
Okay.
was kind of like advertised in the movie, in the hype of the movie, I think.
Okay, so Jay has a daughter he didn't know he had. So I think it's one thing I think is very interesting about this is obviously they don't watch their mouths at all, ever. But as soon as Jay realizes he's around his daughter, he starts like telling her to watch your mouth, and he starts censoring himself. His censoring is still not really censoring, but it's definitely toned down from the way he usually is, you know, pretty much just to a lower vulgar, but it's still vulgar, you know. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and then it has a heartwarming ending, you know, blah blah blah, and just totally just ridiculous off the wall stuff. But I would say, you know, as we're mentioning the later movies not being as good, Pat, this is probably my favorite of the last 10-year movies.
Yeah.
So I give this a good 8.
Wow.
I'd say if you're a Jay and Silent Bob fan, like a real like hardcore fan, 9. You know, so it delivers on everything, and it's got everybody, and it's got, you know, breaking the fourth wall with the audience all the time. You know, it's good stuff. I like it a lot. So good job bringing that up, Johnny. I appreciate it. Now Mike's just got to get on it.
Yeah, well, I made a note.
Okay.
I mean, last night, I know this isn't what Mike watched, but last night I watched The Green Mile. That was 3 hours.
Oh yeah. Which that's awesome movie, obviously. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched it, so. But I should have watched something like this.
I actually watched every episode while I was preparing for the Whatnot show. Takes a lot of time. Setting up for that properly to make it go smoothly takes a lot of time for me. So I literally watched, this might be a little incredible to you, but I literally watched every episode of the Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends while I was setting up for the Whatnot show. And I actually sat down. I mean, I was sitting down the whole time, but I actually focused on the screen, didn't even deal with my Whatnot show when the Origin of Firestar episode came on, which is where they got this whole ball rolling for me with the Australian Wolverine. So anyway, then moving on, I watched Tales from the Loop. It's this is an Amazon original show series. Either one of you familiar with this at all?
No.
Mike?
I think I may have started watching the first episode. Is there a little girl in the first episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the focus. Yeah.
That's. It was like 10 minutes in, and then I don't know, crazy stuff happens, and I stopped.
Yeah, exactly. This put me in mind of Eureka, if you guys remember that old show, where it takes place in this one town where there's the main job, or what all the geniuses of the town, they all work at the Loop, and it's kind of this laboratory, the scientific laboratory that's in the middle of town. And basically this loop just messes with any rules of science and physics and just any craziness that you think could happen. Basically, this loop is the culprit of making all of this craziness happen. And for example, the first episode, well, you want to step out, Mike, if you started to watch this? Spoiler alert.
No, it was months and months ago.
So the first episode is, this came out in 2020. So the first episode, there's a time travel thing where this little girl, actually, everybody in her life and her house disappears, and there's this woman helping her, and then later you find out the woman is actually her. So and then like the second episode, we follow these two boys that are messing around in the woods, just, you know, being stupid boys, and they've come across this big circular like shed, or I don't know exactly what you call it, but when you step in there, you switch bodies with whoever's on the outside of it. So there's a whole episode of that, and you know, and so there's a full season of each episode kind of attached, but not really, kind of completely separate stories. And I liked it. The only thing I will say, it definitely gets slow in moments. Like if they could just, I don't know whether they make them slower and longer or they're so slow to make the episodes longer or not, but I'd rather have, I think these are hour episodes. I'd rather have a half an hour of it being more eventful than they just draw out kind of everything. Like right here, perfect example in this picture. So that's the little girl from the first episode, and she meets up with this little boy. And like them meeting up in the woods and then walking to where they need to check out what's going on at the loop takes like 10 minutes. And it shows them talking about their parents or something for, nothing really that's any consequence to the episode that's unnecessary. It just draws it out, And there's also these robots that are walking around everywhere. Like this is really, in the future too, they've got robots, but they're like scout walkers from Star Wars. The ATSTs, they're on two legs with a big head. And there's all these randomly, they don't do anything with them anymore. So they're just kind of random, sporadic, like wild robots that are walking around, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know if they're going to do something more with that later, but I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in. I give this a cautious recommend. It's if you don't really mind slow stuff, it's definitely, when you finally get to the end, everything's kind of pretty interesting how it plays out, but it's just a little bit too slow for me to really give it a big recommend. So, but it's not bad, that's for sure. All right, and then I finally made it to the theater this weekend to see Thor: Love and Thunder. Pat, did you?
No.
Mike?
Nope. Since I've heard stuff about it, that we've decided to watch it before letting the kids watch it. We're just going to wait for it digital. So that's why we're not going to the theater.
Okay, should I start negative or positive?
Well, negative, so you can kind of lift me back up at the end, and I'm excited to see it again. Because I've not read stuff, I've seen headlines and comments, and they're all negative. So I need you to.
Okay, I'm gonna start negative, but I'm gonna lead with a positive. That, man, this isn't as bad. I know exactly what you're talking about too. With everything I've read with this too, and I feel like some people just want to be haters.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple annoying things in this. I've got one big overall that I'll tell as my negative as I start, but this isn't horrible. This isn't bad. In my humble opinion, I really don't understand where all the hate's coming from. This is not great. This isn't anywhere near, in my opinion, as good as Ragnarok, which I felt like it was trying to be Ragnarok or something. It was just like there are some over the top things, but this isn't horrible, So I don't know exactly where all the hate's coming from. But technically my second, but the first thing I have to say, which is the biggest and the most prominent and really the only really thing I can express to you vividly that I have a problem with this is I'm not that big of a Thor fan. I've never really been a huge Thor fan, but trying to place myself in a Thor fan's head. If this was a Wolverine movie, I would be so mad. Maybe that's where a lot of the hate comes from, because Thor is totally emasculated in this movie. He's either the butt of the joke, which we've gotten a lot of that in the past, or super uber emotional, which I don't have a problem with being emotional. I'll tell you why I have a problem with all this more at the end is, so he's the butt of the joke, he's uber emotional, or he's whiny through this entire movie with maybe one or two, alpha male, masculine, bad butt, Thor that I think Thor fans want Thor to be, for the most part. You know, this confident, you know, like I said, big masculine man that's, you know, he wants to kick some butt and, you know, take some names and save the world.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my biggest complaint. If this was a Wolverine movie, if they did this to my favorite character, Wolverine, the same kind of way, I would be bitter. But like I said, since I'm not a big Thor fan, it doesn't bother me that much. But it definitely stands out to me. It's like I was waiting for Thor to be the Thor that I think you got in the first 10 years of the MCU, not what you get in this movie. You know?
Yeah.
It's just too much of a joke. It reminded me of when I saw Ghostbusters, the reboot with all the ladies. Did you guys see that?
No.
You guys haven't seen the horrible Ghostbusters?
Well, you're making me want to, though. Come on.
Somehow I own it
Me
digitally.
too.
I think they gave it to me. Seriously,
Maybe.
I got a Voodoo account and they said, "Here, you can have this," and I haven't watched it.
Well, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously since you guys haven't seen it. Thor is in that movie. And he's a secretary, and he's a total goof idiot in it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things among many things for that movie. But one of the things I didn't like about that movie is they really just, man, he was just the joke the entire, and it was bad because, you know, he was kind of like representing the male gender to all males, and man, they were just like brutal to him all the time in that movie. It was tough for me to swallow in that movie, but that's what it reminded me about with this movie. And you know, the whole Jane Foster part of this, I think they did it as right as they could have, in my opinion, as far as they didn't just replace Thor with Jane. They kind of made Thor kind of more feminine. That's my complaint, of course. But you know, Thor's just as prominent as Jane in this movie too. So that's one of my complaints when they do gender swaps, race swaps, stuff like that, is when they take somebody away and they replace that person or that character. But this, they really didn't do it. You know, he was still the focus of it. If you've heard otherwise. In the negative comments as well, which I had. She's definitely a prominent role, but she doesn't kind of take over, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing I mentioned to Ayla about this, and I have to correct, Ayla corrected me. She says she gave this a 7.5/8. I vividly remember her saying 7, but she disagrees. So I just wanted to correct myself. But anyway... one thing I did like about Jane Foster too, and I think is missing with a lot of these, again, you know, female focal things, projects, is she has a couple very humbling, kind of self-deprecating scenes, which I think is kind of missing in that too, which I can appreciate. That's kind of how I like to see human beings in general. You know, even if they're confident, they have moments of negativity upon themselves, but it seems like a lot of characters they're trying to build up, they never give them those moments. You know what I'm saying? Can you kind of...
Yeah. It allows them to grow as a character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I think you and I have talked a few times about stories like this where it seems like what they do to lift the female characters up and give them power, it's like they, you know, emasculate the men and bring them down, make them the butt of the jokes, and that's not necessary. You can keep the man being the alpha that he is, and Thor being as powerful as he is, and still have Jane Foster be important and powerful as well. You know, there's no reason to do this. You know, it could be like this. You know, it's just, so.
Did you guys read, either one of you read the comic storyline of Jane Foster becoming Thor?
Not becoming. It's just like the tail end when Jason Aaron was wrapping up. I read a little bit that made me actually think to maybe one day go back and pick up the books, because I thought he wrote her interesting, you know, the character. So
what'd you say, Mike? Did you say no?
I didn't. That's when I was angry at Marvel
No, gotcha.
for many reasons. So I didn't buy any Marvel. Yeah, and I wish I'd like to read them, like Pat said. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious as to how well they went with the story to the movie, which it seems like they did. It definitely focuses on her having cancer and Mjolnir needing to save her from that, So, but I won't go too deep into it, especially since you guys haven't seen it. But like I said, or maybe I didn't say, I give this what I thought Ayla gave it, which was a 7. Which 7 is the bad rating to me. That's another thing we discussed in my family. Where does bad start? For me, bad starts at, if you get below 6, that's where bad starts.
How was Christian Bale?
I thought he was great. I thought the I don't know anything about Gore either in the comics. I thought the way they introduced him too was really good. Actually, I was, as you can imagine, like you said, with all the comments we've read, I went in this kind of negative, and the very first scene of this was I really, for lack of a better way to describe it, enjoyed it a lot. It's not a good thing, but it was moving and kind of set up Gore, So I thought Christian Bale did good. Yeah. Mm. Good. And the Guardians of the Galaxies are a lot are in this a lot less than I thought they would be. It's like real brief, And then the last thing I will say too, that I just thought of this while I was talking, is there's literally like probably 5 or 6 moments in this movie that I laughed out loud, like literally laughed out loud. And I went early on Saturday, so it was like nobody in the theater. So, but I was like laughing out loud to myself,
So, was it too much humor? Like I'm seeing some articles being posted.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was, I would say too much. Yeah. And especially because most of the time Thor is the butt of the humor, But there is definitely moments that are just like, I'm just going to tell you one. This isn't like a big spoiler, but I guess it could be construed as that. But the goats, right? Whenever they fly or have any interaction, they're screaming that like this, ear wrenching, like scream of if you had a man or woman and they were out just getting ready to be hacksawed by Jason or something. The scream that you'd get from that is what these goats do constantly, which is pretty hilarious to me. And there's a couple funny moments with Russell Crowe. Although I don't like to see one of my heroes, which Russell Crowe is, I use that term loosely, but Gladiator, I love Gladiator so much. I still say that's probably my favorite movie of all time that isn't sci-fi nerd stuff, but man, he's definitely out of shape, and he's Zeus. He could have worked out a bit before they made this.
He's been out of shape for quite a few years.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. Oh, that's something I want to mention about this too. With getting back to James and Bob before I stop here real quick. Are you guys familiar with Val Kilmer's situation?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's in this as Blunt Man.
Oh.
Yeah, Blunt Man. Blunt Man, Silent Bob is Blunt Man, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, so he does, of course he doesn't talk, so it's perfect.
Right.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Years ago, Patrick, you might remember these. I had Blunt Man and Chronic action figures, and I had Jay and Silent Bob action figures. And the Bob figure, they took batteries and you push a button and it'd say things. But the Silent Bob figure, you press a button and nothing, you didn't say anything.
So anyway, yeah, I wish you guys had seen this too, because I got a few other things to say, but I don't want to spoil it for y'all. But overall, it's nowhere near as bad as what I've read. And and to answer that too, Mike, you didn't ask me, but to respond to what you said about taking the kids to see this.
Yeah.
Me, I honestly, I think I feel a little bit more conservative in these kind of things than you do on occasion. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have any problem taking Cora and Mark to this. I can't really think of anything that's would be bad, seriously. Which I would have thought completely differently based on everything I've read. But seriously, after seeing it, there's nothing that I can think that they, unless you care about them seeing Chris's butt, which you probably heard about that, right? Have you heard that?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, that's the only part. It's real short. It's a 1 second. His butt's on the screen. That's it. And you know when it's coming, of course.
Yeah.
So aside from that, I literally can't think of anything else that they couldn't watch. I mean, it really is pretty safe in my opinion. So I can't wait till you watch it someday. If you wait till digital, so you can tell me how wrong or right I was on that.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So that'll do it for me.
Good.
That'll set you up, Mike. Are you ready?
Yeah. I am ready.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I mean, you're finishing your segment, then you've got to, you're at the controls there.
Yeah, that's the only. This is when I have my hardest time. When I got to switch between my segment stuff and then get back down to the band, especially when we have like 100 things like you guys have today.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get down there. Sorry.
What's all the Joker Killing Joke stuff?
We need a producer.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, here we go. Oh.
Hey, we're still talking about Thor, Love and Thunder.
Damn it.
What if I do this?
Pardon my language. Okay, right. Here you go. Oh, damn it.
I'll pardon it the first time, but not the second.
Okay.
All right, here we go. The pick 3. So we had no guesses, no submissions for the Profits. Man, I really want somebody to guess these.
Yeah. Once again, if I was a viewer instead of a creator for our show, I would be here every week doing this.
Yeah.
It's fun, and getting free stuff is great. So.
Yeah. What's funny, I had posted these to everybody on Friday, and then Tom got back to me, and the way he was talking, it was he wasn't impressed with a lot of these. It was difficult for him to pick 3 that stood out. And
then he didn't even like 3? Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. Well, he liked 3, but one of his votes he didn't want it. He's like, I was looking for something better than that one, and he just couldn't find it. And then Patrick posted, and I was like, oh man, what a bummer. But then Patrick posted that they were good, and he was excited about it. I was like, okay, that just kind of.
Yeah, I had a tough time with 5 of them to pick 3 out of. Yeah.
And I picked all of these myself because I wanted to get them to Kevin earlier. So these are all my picks. But we'll go down the list. We have Flash 784, Tavern Clark, Iron Man 21, Alex Ross, Maestro World War M #4, Carlos Pacheco. And he does the covers for Venom, Lethal Protector, I think. Catwoman 45B, Jenny Frison. Spider-Gwen Gwenverse #4, David Nakayama. Avengers 58, Javier Garon. Skybox X #25. They skipped issue 6 through 24. That's Kirkman for you. Ryan Otley. Rocketeer Great Race #4, Gabriel Rodriguez. Grimm #3, Enhyuk Lee. And the new Fantastic Four #2, Nick Bradshaw. So let's see. We'll start with #3, and then, you guys want to, before I do the 3, you guys want to guess any of them?
Well, I know what they are.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yeah.
Never mind. Any guesses, Patrick?
Alex Ross is always going to probably be up there.
Okay.
All right,
Well, so you just guessing number one, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, Inhuckly. Yeah, this one's really good.
Man,
But-
I might just start reading Grimm because I love the covers so much.
Well, he doesn't do the interior artwork, but the interior artwork is really good as well. The coloring is real striking. So,
Yeah.
I didn't vote for this, right?
let me look. You're right.
I didn't. You know why, though? Why I didn't vote for this?
Why? I don't.
She's on a throne.
Oh!
Yep. Forgot.
Yeah, I don't retain those small details enough to be able to recall them without being pointed out to. But yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And,
She is on a throne.
so the first 2 issues of this book were good. This one, obviously, number 3 comes out this week, so we'll see if it can continue. See if it's still good. I think a lot
I
of people
really love her weapon.
Yeah, her style is really cool. A lot of people are kind of comparing the hype to this book with Something Is Killing the Children. So I think it's just a lot of people are, buying it, picking it up for that. But it's actually a pretty good story too.
Awesome.
And here we go with number 2. No surprise, Jenny Frison. She places pretty much every time, I think. And
I was shocked this one wasn't number 1, actually.
really, yeah. My favorite part of this is just the neon meow behind her. I think that just really, looks great.
All right, well, we'll have to disagree on that one, but
Well, I mean, obviously Catwoman's drawn pretty well,
yes, yes.
but just the way that neon highlights her.
Yeah, this is so great. I love this. Like I said, I'm surprised it wasn't number 1.
Yeah, well, Grimm got 8 votes. Catwoman received 10.
Wow.
And number 1, still not the highest. I'll have to go back and look. I think the highest was 12. But coming in at number 1, no surprise, Alex Ross and Iron Man at 11 votes.
Yep.
So these 3 ran away with it this week.
Yeah.
Skybound X got 0, and Maestro got 0. Avengers got 1. Patrick. It is. I like that cover too, though. Better part.
Yeah. Put all 10 of them up again real quick. So yeah, obviously, Iron Man, Catwoman, Grimm, and the Rocketeer were the 5 that I was really having a tough time choosing out of. I love that Fantastic Four cover. Wait, did I actually think? I think I actually picked Fantastic Four.
Yeah, you picked Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Rocketeer was my 4th pick. Well, it was. I had put it in 4th. That actually got that and Fantastic Four both had 4 votes, and that's right behind Grimm.
Yeah, but good stuff.
I liked them all, but I could cross off the Flash and the Spider-Gwen cover quickly, but then the rest were tough for me.
Yeah, the ones I could cross off were Flash and the Skybound.
Yeah,
I actually
really liked that one.
Yeah, I like that Spider-Gwen pretty good as well, but I didn't like the positioning of the characters on the Flash cover.
Yeah, I wish I couldn't find one with the trade dress on it. I think I may have, the one time I think it would have made the book look a little bit cooler.
Oh, that's true, because it would have made more sense of the placement of the characters if there was trade on there. But with it being a virgin, it just looks off. Yeah,
I forgot to look too because I was going to do that, but I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, I even went to previews, looking to see what previews had. I don't know where that's the A cover, so I don't know where they're going to put the title.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why they didn't have it yet. They're still
maybe.
trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Maestro I really love. I like whenever they utilize, they put the character in with the title. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I sort of see a callback to Thor 337 on there, and then the
Yeah.
Rocketeer sort of reminds me of that Secret Wars Doctor Doom cover.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But once again, good stuff, Mike.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask Patrick for what we're doing next, because Patrick already gave us a heads up. He's kind of might have to leave us a little bit earlier than usual today. Is that still kind of stand right now, Pat?
I think I'll be going on my own, so we can just go as business as usual if you want to.
Okay, cool. Okay, I was just looking.
Plus, it looks like it's ready to. The skies are ready to open up here, so yeah, might be delayed anyway. Might not be anything going on, so yeah.
Gotcha. All right, well that makes it easy. I was going to move to your segment if you wanted to before you had to go, but we'll just move right along then. Which we decided the next one we'd move into comic book reviews then, right?
Okay.
I'm still here. I forgot to put myself back up.
Oh, is that what you said? Oh, about?
Yeah, I
always wonder immediately, what did I screw up whenever we're going to a video and someone chimes in one like, hey, wait, what? Right at the last second. So, all right. So here's how I'm going to do it from now on, because I'm sure you guys have probably noticed, whether you really care that much or not, I don't know, but we tend to shift where our screens are on the screen. Mm-hmm. So I just decided wherever we'll go in the order of however the screens are laid out whenever we get to whatever segment we need to decide an order on. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah, I never really noticed that.
Yeah, it switches all the time though. I notice that all the time whenever I'm rewatching over and over again, of course,
It's either that or the spinner, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right, so Mike, with you being top left, you're first.
Okay.
In the comic book reviews this week.
Okay. So this week, I didn't read all of it because I've got Snow Angels Volume 2 by Jeff Lemire and Jock. Let me see. I made notes. I lost my notes. I think Volume 1, I think, had 94 pages, and Volume 2 has like 145 pages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot more. So I didn't read the whole thing. Even if I did, I wouldn't review the whole thing. So Patrick reviewed Volume 1 probably a month or so ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so go ahead back and watch his review, and then that'll catch you up to where we are here. So, within the trench, they basically there was a father and two daughters. They live in the trench, and within the trench there are 3 rules. By the time we get to Volume 2, the girls are getting ready to break rule number 3. Rule number 3 is you must never ever leave the trench. Mill and May May are the 2 girls, and they are moving on after the death of their father at the hands of the Snowman. He's the villain in the story, and they leave the trench. May May is younger and she's weak, and so she wants to stop all the time. And Millie has this digital map sort of thing that she pulls it out, and it kind of puts kind of like what Iron Man does, where he brings everything out right in front of him, and you can see like a digital, picture out in front of you. It's some sort of map of something, and she doesn't really understand it, but they look at it. They end up arriving at some large ice banks, and they collapse because they're just exhausted. And after they collapse, the digital map device sends a signal which awakens a large robot beneath these ice banks. And it engages emergency protocols, but these protocols, it seems to be malfunctioning. in its vocal commands. They're all broken. And you know what? I actually have. I forget I have pictures. So that's those are two girls, and I love the Jock's artwork, by the way. So he grabs the two girls and puts them in a hatch, which is kind of inside. He's a huge robot. Puts it inside there where they end up falling asleep, and they're awoken by an alarm sounding, and it's hostile detected over and over. And that's a picture of the robot. The girls are real tiny there.
Is that the snowman? Is that
No.
what they? No.
No, that's not the snowman. That's the robot that they end up that wakes up due to that little mapping device thing they have.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the girls are awoken by an alarm sounding, and it's repeating hostile detected over and over. And they can actually look out and see. They think it's a snowman, but it's actually a group of people. And these people don't look anything like the trench folk that these girls are used to seeing. But once again, they're outside the trench now, and the robot, sensing them as danger, opens fire with machine guns and just starts laying them to waste. So that is as far as I read, because that was about 30 pages. And this is it's a get it for me. For I'm a Jeff Lemire fan, so it's a must have. But for the average comic book reader, it's a get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I meant to get it after Pat reviewed it, but I didn't.
Yep.
All right, cool. Pat, what do you got?
Okay, what I got is I'm following up on what I read last week.
Very nice.
Sorry, I gotta scroll down here and find it. Where I read Avengers Forever. Okay, so I read 3 through 6, and that gets me caught up from what the issues that I had on hand. This is number 3. It's a variant cover by Ed McGuinness, so it doesn't really totally represent what was going on in this issue. But basically, I kind of left out who the big bad guy was in this series, I believe. And what they're doing is they're going up against the multiversal masters of evil, led by, we find out later in issue 4, I believe, or 5, Doom Supreme. What you're gonna see here is there's a lot of combinations of characters, different variations of characters that you know, but they're twisted throughout the different Earths. So I might not always get the names of these guys right, but you'll kind of get the gist, I think. So where we left it was, Ghost Rider from the Marvel Earth has been shunted off, and he's left on this world, and it's a world where Tony Stark is Ant-Man, and he sort of has his little ragtag misfit Avengers team, and this Earth, you find out that the Masters of Evil, they conquer planets and then give rule to the individual planets, to their individual members. In this planet where Tony Stark Ant-Man resides, the ultimate leader of their Earth is Black Skull, who is a combination of Red Skull taken over by the Venom symbiote, which is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
But in issues 3 and 4, they take care of him, along with the Deathlock that was brought over with Ghost Rider sort of joins forces with Tony Stark's Avengers, and they defeat the Black Skull of that Earth. But in the meantime, they open these portals, and all these other Black Skulls from different dimensions start pouring in. Just in time in number 4, for Thor's granddaughters. He has 3 granddaughters that were introduced in Jason Aaron's run. They come in and sort of save the day. They wipe the floor of these variant Black Skulls, and it sort of wrapped up this portion of the storyline rather quick. I thought I was kind of like just getting into this Earth and what they were up to, but now you're kind of finding out that it's more about sort of forming this disparate group of Avengers, with Tony Stark, Ant-Man, the Ghost Rider from our Earth, the Deathlock, and they're going to track down all these variations on the Masters of Evil and try to defeat them to keep the multiverse safe.
So they're going to travel to all the different multiverses, basically.
Yeah. They're trying to gather, I think, certain specific Avengers throughout the multiverse to try to defeat the Masters of Evil. And a little bit, I'm coming a little bit cold on this because I think a lot of this backstory was introduced in the main Avengers storyline, and I'm behind on that. I jumped right to Avengers Forever. But I don't think it's rocket science. You can kind of you can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Then number 5 was sort of like a standalone issue, and it dealt with Doctor Doom, who is the leader of the Masters of Evil, the multiversal Masters of Evil. And basically, he leads up the group. Typical big bad guys that you would think of, but they're there's little twists and turns on their characters. But they go in and conquer an Earth, and they find out. Sorry, yeah, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
You can see there, there's probably the main one in front, and there's a lot of variants behind them. But we find out that as they conquer these Earths, his underlings and the Masters of Evil kind of bicker over who gets what and who rules this Earth. But Doctor Doom isn't concerned. You find out that he is going through and either killing off his variants on these Earths, so he becomes the one and only, or he subjugates the Dooms to do their will. And in this Earth that they're on in issue 5 happens to be everyone's man things on this Earth. So it's it's Doctor Doom. What do they call him? Man Doom or Doom Thing, I think.
You said Doom Supreme earlier. Is that different?
He's here, but the Doom of this Earth particular Earth that they're trying to conquer is all man things. So he's
gotcha.
He's Doom Thing, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this is kind of I've sort of nitpicked Jason Aaron in the past. I think sometimes he gets a little corny, and the thing that really bugged me in this issue was Doom Supreme. He's torturing this man thing, Doctor Doom, and the two things that he wanted to do to him were to cut off Man Thing's eyelids, which I don't think he has eyelids. I've never seen him drawn with eyelids. And then they tell him he finally agrees. He's been beaten down. He agrees to be Ultimate Doom Supreme's minion, and they tell Ultimate Doom tells all the other Dooms to cut out his tongue. And I didn't think Man Thing had a tongue either. Just two little things that bugged me about that issue. And then number 6 was sort of another sort of standalone issue, although it did dovetail back into the main storyline at the end. And this dealt with T'Challa, who on this Earth is called Vibranium Man, where he basically is tracking down bits and pieces of vibranium to make his suit. And he's sort of like a Spider-Man, Black Panther combined hero. And the big villain he's out to get is Killmonger, who's called King Killmonger, who's combined with Killmonger, and somehow he's got the destroyer armor from Thor. So he's sort of like Doom. He goes through, and I think his deal is he's going to all the Earths trying to kill all the T'Challas for some reason. And eventually at the end of this, our crew of Ghost Rider and Deathlock and Ant-Man find T'Challa. He's been thrown into the sun by the destroyer, but he encased himself in a vibranium shell, and he's rescued by our misfit Avengers. And I think they're gathering their team from there, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I still am sort of on the fence with this book. And I did want to mention, it started out by Jason Aaron, and Aaron Cooter was the artist, and he only did the first 3 issues, and now our main artist is James Towell, who I wasn't familiar with, but he's competent. He reminds me of sort of like Dale Keown or Paul Pelletier, but in Aaron, I think Aaron Cooter's continued to do the main covers, so maybe he'll be back. Maybe they're switching back and forth on 3 arcs here, 3 arcs there. But yeah, like I said with the other ones, and I don't know if I got to show 4 with Thor's granddaughters, or Kevin took care of that for me.
Oh yeah.
He did, he did that cover. He did the cover for the A cover for 3. He was back here on 5, and he did this one too, I believe. So that kind of leads me to believe, and I could probably find out easily if he's back for number 7. But yeah, it's sort of one of those things. If you don't mind mixing the artists up, you'll be, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you're one of those guys that's a nitpicker for having consistent artwork, it might bother you a little bit. But yeah, like I said, still on the fence for me. I probably have 3 more issues on order, so I'll get through those and maybe see how I feel and whether I want to continue it or drop it.
What are Thor's granddaughters' names? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you offhand. They're very,
Asgardian.
Norse
Guardian, yeah,
yeah.
Norse derived.
Gotcha.
You'll see what I'll have them for you next time if I think of it, and you'll see right away why I couldn't remember them.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that I missed this Ed McGuinness cover for the pick 3. I would have put that up in a heartbeat. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I like that one.
I love Ed McGuinness. You do as well, Patrick.
Yeah.
That is, and I like the Universal Monsters and just
Right.
monsters. So
Yeah.
I'll be looking for a copy of that.
Yeah, I don't know if this sounds like, I'm arrogant or something, but this seems like the kind of story I would have written. Seems like it's like all over the place and it's nuts. It's let's get nuts kind of.
Yeah, you're right. It is one of those things where, like, really, we're just going to throw that in this direction.
Right.
It's, yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there, Kevin.
It sounds fun though.
What kind of
Yeah.
got me thinking of a new idea. We've got this new spinner wheel app. And it seems like, who wrote that? Jason Aaron? It seems
Yes.
like this is what he did. He put all these different characters on the spinner wheel map, hit spin, and Dr. Doom.
Right.
Spin, and Man Thing. There we go.
Yeah.
You just made so we're gonna do that. We're gonna put a bunch of characters on a wheel, spin them, and then Patrick, you'll have to draw that character.
Right. All right, but it's good though. Yeah, it makes me want to. I've been getting all of them. I have them all, but yeah, I haven't read them all. But that makes me want to. I like the way that one sounds.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm next. I've
Yeah,
got something we referenced earlier again, but this seems to here we go again. Nothing can be just mentioned once. You've done it. We've done it a couple times with both of what you guys just talked about. This references an old show that Mike, but it was Mike though. You know how I said Johnny referenced to Mike to watch Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
You're referencing to your old Avengers segment, and Mike was referencing to Snow Angels, which is your old review. So now I read Wolverine Patch, which Mike said he was going to read.
I still haven't read it.
Yeah. But I read Wolverine Patch 1 and 2, and I actually got 3 in my DCBS order this week, so I'll probably be reading that in the next couple days. I'm starting to work on a list of consistent, to where we get for me at least. I don't know if you guys decide you want to do it or not. It seems like you're going down that road a little bit, Pat, but consistent titles to where we can continue a storyline rather than just kind of mentioning one. And you two are teaming up with Snow Angels now, where you got volume 1, he got volume 2, to where we can, kind of continue stories for, people that want to follow it that way. But I was excited for this. So this is, again, Wolverine Patch, written by Larry Hama, pencilers Andrea DeVito, inkers Labine Underwood, colorist Sebastian Cheng, and the covers by Sean Delgado. I've taken to mentioning, obviously just writer and artist and cover, but penciler, we've had this conversation in the Xcellar group over the years many times. When I always thought of the artist as just the penciler, but then y'all are like, no, wait till you see this guy do the pencils and this guy do the ink, and this, oh, we lost Mike, and this guy do the ink, and this guy, you guys have mentioned that to me in the past, and I don't really relate to that, but that's why I'm mentioning them all. Anyway, a little bit of overkill and explanation there. Patrick, you still with me?
Still here.
Okay, cool. Okay. Mike's back. Hey, Mike, did I make you mad there or something?
No, why?
Because you checked out.
Oh, no. I think somebody hit the power button on my house.
Oh.
Because I actually started to say something, and you just kept rolling like I wasn't even part of the show, and then everybody started spinning, and I got moved.
What were you gonna say? What were you starting to say?
It was right after you mentioned Snow Angels and Patrick. He can review the middle part of Volume 2, and then I'll review.
Well, what I mentioned while you're away is, how we've discussed in the group on occasion who you consider the artist and how you can identify that art. And then you guys have described to me, wait till you see his penciling done by his inking, done by his coloring, and you combine them all, and it gets very confusing for me,
Yeah.
So that's why I decided when I'm giving the stats for the book, I just mention them all. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Anyway, so in this story, basically, Patch is a co-owner of a bar in Mandrapore, and with Tiger, and basically there's this everybody and their brother that you think would be involved in a Wolverine story is really interested there's this wrecked Russian plane right outside in the jungle outside of where his bar is in Mandrapore, and like S.H.I.E.L.D. is there, and the locals are trying to get at it, and there's General Cho. There's a whole bunch of interested parties into this crashed plane that's in the middle of this jungle. And another guy, the Prince, which I'm not familiar with, but anyway, the Prince hires Patch and his best friend in this story, which is Archie Corrigan, to go help him, kind of recon what's going on with this plane. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. sees Patch and Andrew reconning, and they tell him, hey, stay out of this. We got something going on here. Stay out of this. And then, of course, Patch doesn't listen, and he keeps investigating anyway. And then he comes across these two other mutants, which also I'm not familiar with, Beth and Gimmel. And he battles with them. And you can see in the cover for issue 2, this is Beth. He's fighting with her. And Beth and Gimmel are, again, these hired help for the locals to try to find out what's going on with this crashed Russian plane in the middle of the jungle. So that's basically the meat of what we get in issue 1 and 2. I really like this a lot. This is typical Wolverine fashion. Lots, more action than story in this book, which I'm fine with. Just give me a little bit of story and mix it in with a lot of action. I'll read you all day, and typical Wolverine that I love. And nothing comes to, like I said, nothing comes to conclusion in the first 2 issues. We don't even know what the story is exactly with the Russian jet there yet. We don't exactly know. We're starting to get the impression through Wolverine's instincts and what he discovers in the first 2 issues that everybody's up to. There's like nobody that's up to any good. I guess the only thing you could argue with that statement, if you cared to, was Beth and Gimmel, who he fights, end up caring more about the locals than anybody. So he kind of, by the end of issue 2, kind of teams up with them. So now it's kind of 3 mutants again and the locals in this jungle versus all these other characters that are involved, to see what's going on with this Russian plane. But I definitely love this. It's a definite get it for everybody, but I would say it's a must-have for any Wolverine fan. It's really good stuff.
Does this story take place back like around the time of Wolverine Volume 2 in the early parts of it?
Actually, I was going to ask you guys, because I've actually never read a Patch book before.
Well, that's where Patch came about, right? That's where. Now I remember you were in boot camp whenever that book came out.
Yeah. So I would assume this is from way back when. They didn't give any idea of me to be able. They didn't say like what year or anything it is in the book as I'm reading it. So I don't actually know, but I would assume because it's Patch, it's from way back when. So
that's classic Nick Fury there. He's working for
Yeah,
Seal.
Exactly. That's classic Nick Fury too.
Yeah, so that's definitely in the past.
Well, what I was going to ask you is if anybody read this, for all I know, this could be like a reprint.
Nah.
Oh, no, it's definitely not.
Okay.
This is Marvel. They're doing so many of these past continuity books currently,
Yeah.
Kind of filling in gaps and storylines that we've already read. But what's funny is you guys have seen the movie Silver Bullet, right?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Fury look like the preacher from Silver Bullet?
Yes. Yep.
Anyway, that's what I was looking up. Like, hey. So,
but I think maybe that's why I like this so much more as well too, because it was classic stuff. It seemed to be written that way as well. Like, there's actually a few things in this where I was like, man, how is this surviving 2022? Like racial slurs and all kinds of stuff. There's actually 2 times in this I was like, wow, what's that doing in there? Which the character saying it was appropriate. So, that's how I feel. Right. Obviously, racial slurs are bad, but if you got the bad guy doing it, he's obviously the a-hole of the book.
Yeah.
Hey, double down on him being the a-hole with that too, and I can handle that in my stories. So.
Yeah, par for the course. He's not going to be nice and politically correct and care about people's feelings. And
Exactly.
He's a bad guy, for crying out loud.
But yeah, again, great stuff. I'm definitely going to continue on with this. This is going to be one of my books that I'm going to continue. I'll include part 3 since I've got it already, or book 3 since I've got it already in my review next week for sure. So,
all right,
let's get it.
I got to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
I can tell you, Kevin, since you asked, I pulled up the Granddaughters of Thor.
Oh, okay.
Atlee, Ellisiv, and Frigg.
Atlee, Ellisiv, and Frigg. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which one is the one that was the most Thor-looking one? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know them well enough to differentiate them currently. Yeah.
Well, this is a good time for Mike to be away too, because and you'll probably like this news just as much as he would anyway. But so I didn't get a new Get It or Forget It. I mean, not Get It or Forget It. You Got a Deal? Are You For Real?
Okay.
We didn't sell last week's, and again, it's just been a crazy week for me for miscellaneous reasons. So I didn't get a chance to grab that. So we're just going to put up the same You Got a Deal? Are You For Real? From last week as the You Got a Deal? Are You For Real? For this week. And basically what I'm going to do is when I break apart the segments, I'm just going to use last week's segment for it. We don't have to go through it right now too. That was another thing I was thinking we could trim the fat on, since you were not going to be here as long either as well. So,
Hey, this is why I had to leave real quick. Cora just got back from getting her hair cut.
Can I go in?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Wow.
She looks like a whole different girl.
Turn around.
Oh, my boots are too tall. I'll go out of frame. Turn around. There.
Nice. Wow.
She's like a teenager. I know the movie.
Yeah, you know, that's what all of my my wife and my daughters, they go through this. One it's shorter, grow it out longer. One it's shorter, grow it out longer, just back and forth. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I did when she walked in. I was, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks cute though. Yeah. All right. So did you catch everything I was just saying to Patrick?
Yeah, I pretty much redoing the You Got a Deal?
Yeah, from last week. So we aren't going to do that segment this week, basically.
Okay.
We could just go through it again, and Mike looks up the ones I looked up, and I look up the ones Mike looked up.
See if we get a different. You know, that's what I should do to test you guys sometime to see if we get a different number.
Let's not do that.
What, you don't do $3 for every book?
Man, wish I would have known your methods, Mike.
All right, so then that'll mean that means we'll just be skipping right into Pat's segment. Are you ready, Pat?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. You know, in typical fashion, I forgot something. It's new, so that's always the excuse when we forget little things. But
Sorry.
That's okay. The reviewed book to add to the Fun Fan freebie for this week.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to go with mine, right? Because you didn't even finish Snow Angels.
And it's a $17, $18 book.
Yeah, that's not exactly a single issue comic. And then, of course, I really love Wolverine Patch. So we'll just go with Wolverine Patch #1 as the added book to the Fun Fan freebie phrase pool of books.
Sounds
So let's
good.
see if I can nail this now. We got Jurassic League #2, New Fantastic Four #1, Crimson Reign #5, The Bunker #1, and now Wolverine Patch #1. Did I nail that?
Yeah, as far as I remember.
I can have a decent, shockingly decent memory on occasion. It just comes and goes, you know. So, all right. So that book's added. So there you go. Sorry, I forgot that. Pat, you're ready.
Yeah. We'll bore everybody again with the Long Box Heroes update. This is interesting because if you notice right away the price there, because I started reading Fresh Monkey Fiction's webpage, and they talked about this bundle, and they kept saying you buy these 6 figures in the bundle and you'll get a 7th free. But that wasn't what was being reflected on Big Bad Toy Store's webpage. And I actually, sent a message on Facebook to them and said, well, what's going on here? If this one's free, it should be $150, not $175. And they replied back and said, yeah, that's an issue. They had the wrong price up and they're going to get it updated this week. So they did. And I'm thinking, well, they should have got this nailed down beforehand, because that really could have helped, their sales, I think. Letting them
to get it to where they want it to be to make it happen. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been adjusted. This is the price for 6 figures. Even though they're tacking on a couple little pennies there, like Kevin mentioned.
Well, now we're covered. Yeah. But it's still a much better deal for 7 figures, right?
Yeah. Because you're paying for 6 and you're getting a 7th one free.
Yeah.
And then what I did this week was I wanted to show the tallies, and you can see where everybody's at there. The Tick is in the lead; he's over 1,000.
Wow. What's the cutoff?
There's still like 40. I think there's like 42 more days left. 42, 45, I believe.
That's looking grim.
We'll see. And they actually, if you notice there, they changed the specs for the Rocketeer pack. It used to be the same deal where they had. Well, it was a little different. They said the Rocketeer figures had to get 1,000 minimum of each figure. Now it's 2,100 combined, all three of them. So it's looking like the Rocketeer is going to make it. That pack's going to make it no problem because they're already at 2,065.
Yeah.
Whether the other ones do or not, I don't know.
Yeah, the only one I care about isn't looking good. Yeah.
Grendel.
Yeah.
Still a lot of time left, but usually the big numbers come at the beginning and at the end. So
did you create this graphic?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say because it says Hellboy right there. I was gonna be like...
It's wishful thinking on my part.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I still think I'm right.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah. One of the cool things I saw this week that
hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go back to that
last
thing you had up.
The tally.
Yeah. So maybe I'm confused. Is that 1,500 include the first and the second, or is it just each week or each? What is that? I don't understand actually.
They have to hit.
Oh, it was 350. Okay, just looking at Madman, it was 356 on July 8th. Then it went to up 552, then to 584. So it's going it went 100 or 200 the first week, and then another 50 or 30 in a couple days. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I was reading it backwards. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just had a picture of Madman and Goon, so I couldn't track the rest of their numbers. But yeah, you can see I had midweek, and then they updated it on Thursday or Friday, I believe, the current numbers. Okay. So yeah, the one of the cool things I saw this week was the Lego Office set.
Oh, nice.
Which I think is awesome. I'm not a huge Lego fan, but it's the basic layout of the office, and it's done pretty well. You can pull out the individual sections.
Oh man, that is cool. I consider myself like a mid-level Lego fan because I'm pretty picky as to what I like. But Lexi actually got the Friends apartment and coffee shop and everything that was similar to this, you know. And I didn't think much of it just seeing the box and stuff, but when she got it and she built it and it's displayed in her room and I look at it, I'm like, wow, that actually is pretty cool. So this is probably going to be the same for me on that. So I got a couple people in my family that'll probably be jumping at this one or ask for it for Christmas probably.
I think one of the coolest things is 15 minifigures.
Oh, that is cool. Oh, man.
They all come with that set?
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's one of the best thing with the sets is all the minifigs they come with. Yeah.
That's like, if you just round up to typical individual Lego figures, that's like $75 right there.
Yeah.
You're buying them, and the entire set's $120, which I didn't think was ridiculous for a Lego set.
Yeah, for how much is in that one? Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
I mean, the footprint of the office itself is kind of small, but that plus the figures, I think it's not a horrible deal for 120 as far as, like I said, Legos go.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to make its way into our house.
Yeah. Do you have a few Legos, or is every Lego you have built, or do they kind of make their way in your house but don't get built right away? How does that usually work in your household?
Yeah, I'm not a Lego. I'll buy the minifigures.
Okay.
Valor has some sets, but yeah, I'm I guess past the point where I'm interested in building, big sets or big buildings or ships or whatever. Well,
if I had the space and the money, we've talked about it in my family many times that we would have Hogwarts, the big Hogwarts castle and everything.
Yeah.
And we would have Titanic actually too, because that's ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
You've seen that; it's so awesome. And then we'd have the Millennium Falcon for sure.
Oh man, that's a big pricey set right there.
Yeah, they all are. That's why they aren't here yet, because partially because of the space, but I'm usually when I don't make the best decisions, space is my problem for the most part, but money's the big culprit as to why that's not happening for those. But we'd love to have it. You know?
That Titanic set, can you build it 2 different ways?
I don't know whether it's meant to be that way, but I could sure make it happen, I'm sure.
Pre and post iceberg.
Right. All right, anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. And the other, I'm gonna get into the main thrust of what I wanted to talk about, but here's a straggler here. They announced this No Way Home Spider-Man 3-pack, Spider-Man 3-pack, I guess, which shows this. It's they've had the middle Spider-Man previously, but I think there's a new deco on them, some improved paint jobs and things like that. But this is the first time for the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in Marvel in this iteration of Marvel Legends. In fact, when the movie was hitting there, the old Hasbro and Toy Biz Spider-Man were going for some big bucks in the Green Goblin figure. And you kind of knew or assumed that they would, put new versions of these out. And they're really well done. If you're big fans of these Spider-Men, they're hyper detailed. And they said they put more money into paint apps for all 3 of these figures. And when I don't have pictures of them individually, and they're still just digital. These are just digital mock-ups so far, but they look really great.
Yeah, they do.
Now it's $90, so that breaks down to $30 a figure. Whether they're justifying that with, the paint apps are a big deal when it comes to action figures. The more paint apps, the more cost goes into the manufacturing process, and the price has to be reflected thusly. So they keep hitting on that point about paint apps. So I think that's where they're, maybe the extra $5 per figure are coming from, or where they're trying to justify that extra $5 a figure.
I guarantee I'm going to buy these.
Yeah, and if you can find, I think these are going to be a general release, as far as I remember hearing. But if you can find a place, a retail place, maybe Target or Walmart might have them cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They look great.
posability looks awesome.
Yeah.
For sure. You can see I think they call them butterfly shoulders. You can sort of see that happening there if you look close on Tobey Maguire or the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where there's a huge range of posability when it comes to his arms.
Yeah.
Just all around, actually, too. And these figures all use the pinless joint system, so you can't. If you kind of look at the knees, you can see the knee cap, but there's no pins visible, and that's one of the big things they're hyping up these days, where you can't really see where the connections are, and it makes it look a little more seamless. But it's a very cool 3-pack.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And then since San Diego Comic-Con is happening next week, I wanted to hit some of the announcements. A lot of the exclusives sort of went away the last couple years during the pandemic, and they basically shifted them to online, but it looks like they're starting to come back, and they have quite a few offerings for this year's convention. Start with Hasbro and this Boba Fett from the War of the Bounty Hunter storyline, where he paints his armor black.
Uh-huh.
And it's in one of those the last time we talked about it was actually Tyler, where they're sort of like the flip open boxes. Yeah. Based on, the comics, with the Velcro enclosure there. And,
man, I'm gonna have to pay a pretty penny for this too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Another Boba Fett, but he comes with an axe sort of weapon there. I didn't read this storyline, but
it was good.
Yeah. Is that a good representation of what was going on?
Yeah.
Was there another?
If it's Boba Fett, I don't even question it. I just buy it. I'm definitely one of those fanboys that just make a new Boba Fett figure and I'm gonna grab it. So
that one, particularly the helmet looks really cool there. I like how the visor is really glossy.
Yeah,
it just looks super realistic there for some reason.
I don't know if I actually like the packaging though, because that's one thing I've got all these displayed in my man cave, and you can't see them. You can't see them unless I take them out or rip the cover off.
Calm down, jeez. Find another way.
Hasbro is also has a G.I. Joe offering, and it's Dr. Mindbender. Sort of like I don't know if a strange choice for a deluxe figure. They didn't list the price on him, but I'm thinking he's going to be up there. He's probably in the $50 range, I'd say.
Yeah, not being a G.I. Joe fan, I don't even know who this character is.
Yeah, he was sort of... I remember him from when I was picking up figures in, the 80s or whatever. He was sort of one of those ones that came along when they started really going towards the sci-fi side of it,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I should say no, I don't know, but I trust you.
It comes with a little brain there, and
Do
I don't know exactly what's going on.
Do you know anything about the current G.I. Joe?
I do not.
Okay. I was just curious as if it's just carried on, or it's like, is it like, did they reboot it and change it all, or that's 'cause obviously anything that's been around that long, it'd be awesome if it's just carried on. They're just continuing to write new stories, So
I think they've done both, actually.
Oh, okay.
And this guy, his head sculpt reminds me of the leader of the Reavers on The Walking Dead. I don't know if everyone's caught up.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, he was the leader of this military sort of pack that was in the last part of The Walking Dead.
That reminds me, I got to get caught up on The Walking Dead. Let me make another note here with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, you need to carry around a list like Cap does.
Then there was
check out the Netflix Marvel shows. They're on Disney Plus for free now. You need to check those out, Mike.
Yeah.
Continue, Patrick.
Super 7 has shown a ton of things, but I just have a couple here. We talked about the Godzilla 3 3/4 reaction figures before, which I forget who was that in your family that was after the Mothra?
Karen.
Yeah. Karen. Yeah, they should be. They're definitely they're available to order online now, but I feel like they'll be showing up in Targets. And these are just this, previously released in glow in the dark, different packaging.
So if we were a big fan of this, is this what the packaging used to look like back in the day?
Back in the day, no. I mean, this is just special.
This is all new.
Yeah, it's different. It's different from the normal versions that weren't glow in the dark. They're just
Well, they just seem kind of classic to me. That's why I was thinking like they've done with the with the Marvel and with the Star Wars, kind of getting back to retro looks. So I didn't know if maybe that was here. No,
probably a little bit because they're going for the glow in the dark type deal.
Yeah.
And then they're doing a. They have in addition to the reaction, they have what they call their Ultimates line, which are larger, more articulated, and they're doing that Shogun Warrior Godzilla. So he'll be, I have the little 3 3/4 version of him, came out last year, and this one is the Ultimate, so it's probably around 8 inches tall.
I had the full size of this recently, and I actually gave it away, believe it or not.
What do you mean recently? How recently?
Like probably within the last 5 years.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I actually gave it away because I was trying to sell it. And you know how this is how I go with selling sometimes. When I'm in a mood to clear some things out, obviously I go with selling first. But when that fails for whatever reason, I will fall to here, just if you want it, because I can't bring myself to throw this stuff away, of course. And I'm just like, just take it then. And I actually went to, and it was probably the wrong place to go, but I went to our LCS. I went to Painted Visions, Mike, and I gave them the original Godzilla because I asked them if they wanted to buy it first, and they said no. And I was having no luck selling it on Facebook or anything. Maybe I was asking too much. I don't know.
I knew you 5 years ago. I would have bought it.
Sorry, man. Maybe it was a little bit longer than 5 years ago. Yeah, I think because I probably would have asked you guys. That's for sure. So
Yeah, I don't remember.
Is it still at Painted Visions for sale?
Not that I actually didn't see them display it anywhere, and they were acting like it was like I don't know how to describe it. They definitely were underwhelmed that I didn't even get out. Oh, hey, thanks, man. It was just like, all right, we'll take it.
I mean, if he was in good shape, he goes for around $300.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Live and learn. Yeah, I know that.
So the next time you get one of those,
yeah, it'll never happen now. Apparently.
yeah.
Did he still have his fist?
Yeah.
Did he still, was his lever not broken in the back for his tongue?
No, that was the part that was definitely not in good shape. It wouldn't spring back,
Okay.
So and I think it was a little bit like there was stuff inside to where when you tried to bring it out too, it wouldn't come out fully, so it definitely had some defects. But would you have said 10 years ago, is this something that's fairly recent? Obviously the world's gotten crazy. Would you have said 10 years ago this would have been worth $300, you think?
Probably. Shoguns are always in demand.
Damn. All right, well, there you go.
That's sad. I've posted on the Xcellar group before. The only thing that's left of mine is his foot. That's all that's left of my Godzilla.
Oh, gotcha.
Holding out hope for the rest of them.
Yeah, I feel like if you still would have had him when I talked about it, you probably would have brought him up to me.
Yeah, I probably would have. Yeah. So it's probably longer ago than that. Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have been 15.
What's that? If you don't like the normal version, there's also a glow in the dark version for you.
This falls directly into the I think this is too much category for me.
I need sunglasses for that one. That glows in the white.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't care about the glow in the dark, but I will probably try to grab one of these guys.
What size did you say this was again? I'm sorry.
He's around 8 inches, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of double the size of the little reaction I have, but not nearly the size of my old, dearly departed Godzilla. And then the last.
Switch it again. Sorry. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, when you switched to this, I thought you were gonna say, something like, what's the, Star Wars guy, the Abominable Snowman, like, yeah, he looks like that. What's his name? Come on, one of you.
Wampa creature.
Yeah, the Wampa. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It reminded me of that immediately. I know there's not a whole lot of similarities besides the color, but that's exactly what I was thinking right away.
Yeah, that is a really white-green glow-in-the-dark plastic.
Yeah.
All right, and the last SDCC item I had is the Ghost Rider Hot Wheel car motorcycle.
Please tell me you have another picture of this. Sweet. All right. I mean, it's sweet that you have another picture, but I don't know how I feel about that.
I like it.
The proportion's not right on the tire.
Well, that's kind of the weird thing about it, because there's no flame around the wheels,
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, great. You talked me out of it. It's terrible.
What size is it? Is it like typical Hot Wheel size motorcycle?
It's probably a little bigger because it's a motorcycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think normally the motorcycles aren't usually in scale with the cars, right?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
The packaging is great though.
Yeah, it looks great right there. That's why I was wanting to really see what it looked like inside, but then that's underwhelming to see what it looks like inside.
And that's kind of typical Mattel San Diego Con exclusives, because even they did the Japanese Spider-Man car a few years ago, and it came in special packaging, and that's where they kind of pump things up, is with their packaging for their exclusives, and they're generally very hard to get to. You have to go through Mattel Creations Instagram site to order this stuff that are Mattel exclusives. So if you want one of those, be on the lookout, because it'll probably go up this coming week. And that's all I had for the Horizon.
All right, let me ask you, Pat. Would you, and I may have asked you this before because I'm always curious to this, but I can't remember what you said when I asked it exactly what you said. But would you say a majority, or is it comparable between the people that just buy action figures to keep them on the card and the people that take them out of the card is equal, or majority one side or the other, or what do you think?
I think it's all over the place. And then there's also the people that buy one to keep in package, one to open, you know.
Because I see, every time I shouldn't say every time, but a majority of the time I feel like when I see the videos of people showing off their action figures, they're all out of the box and displayed. But then anytime I see people selling them, they're all obviously in the box. Right. But I'm like, I would, I told this story when I bought my Wolverine that, I knew I was going to display it. So I wanted a good, full, intact, loose figure to make it cheaper to not have to worry about the card. I eventually just bought it on card to make sure I had everything because that's the only way I could find it at the price I was looking for. And
could have found it right here, my friend.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about this. I would have definitely taken the one on card, and you could have had my complete that's opened.
Oh, we did talk about it after I bought it, didn't we?
Right.
Yeah, I should have done that. Yeah, we're talking more than we used to, so I'll definitely not fail like this again. Although I bought pretty much all the classics that I want to now. I bought the Spawn on card. I bought the Wolverine on card. So. Very
quickly before I forget, you mentioned Spawn. Target, like I've mentioned, has doing a lot of clearance, and I saw She Spawn for $20. The deluxe one that comes with all the extra stuff.
Oh wow, okay. I need to check out my Target. Yeah, she's probably the same size as that huge Spawn I got. That's an MK11 exclusive or whatever. That size. It's like really.
Yeah, huge. Maybe.
Yeah. And I ordered that. I don't know what I told you. I ordered the gunslinger with the horse.
The horse, yeah.
Jeez, that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. So, all right, that's good stuff, though. Once again, now we move into a segment that I can. I got a lot to show this week. It's a good thing again we cut out the "you got a deal," but here it is. So. Oh wait, that's not it. That's not it. This is it. All right. Looks like based on the order of our screens, Pat's first.
How'd that happen?
Well, you did the most talking recently, and Mike was first. Is it okay if I go first?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, by the way it shows us.
I manipulated the process there, so I don't want to, be too corrupt. But I'll show you. I like to drink some rum during the Whatnot show, so I get in a real good mood. So I showed you guys. Oh, I meant to ask you before I get into this, Pat. Because you watched that video live when I was streaming it, right?
The last? Oh yeah, I did watch it. Your unboxing, yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned Did you want that Marvel Ant-Man, Astonishing Ant-Man book? Did you want that? Because Mike mentioned you were interested, but I don't. It isn't decided or not. You do.
We'll talk about it. We can talk about it after the show.
Oh, okay. So here we go. I got this awesome Art Germ portfolio, and as I mentioned to y'all, but to tell the listeners, this is hardcover. This is the front. Here's the back, everything that's in it. And obviously I love Art Germ, female art probably the most. But it's cool there's, Spider-Man and Carnage on this too. I was thinking about doing the thing that I think Johnny's mentioned in past episodes too, just framing these. These are so cool. And this also took me back. This is the first portfolio I've bought in, I'm going to say 15 years, but it's probably 25. I bought you remember that Jim Lee portfolio I have, Mike, that it's all cardboard and inside it has the different Jim Lees?
Yep.
I want to get those framed too. And after looking at this and appreciating it so much, makes me want to get more portfolios. You get much of these, Pat?
I don't have any of these new Marvel ones. Are they? So the individual plates they're loose inside, or are they like
exactly
pocket or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a pocket inside, and then it's got them all in there loose. Yeah.
For this?
Yeah.
Loose? Oh, I thought it was like a hardcover book type.
Oh no, they're loose like that Jim Lee one is. Yeah.
That makes it even more awesome.
Right. Yeah, I love it. So I got that in my latest DCBS order, and then when I was looking for this screenshot for the show, and I actually have it here with me, of course, but I'm always torn as to which is better, going like this or having this up on the screen. So I chose to go this way with these, of course. But when I was looking for the screenshot, there's so many Art Germs portfolios that I wasn't aware of. And I want them all, and some of them aren't called Art Germ portfolios. They're like the DC Prevents portfolio, but they're all Art Germ. It's like stuff like that. So anyway, this is great. And then I also got this bad boy, the Rocinante. I've actually got this in the background here. I don't know if you guys were noticing that during the show. Let me actually see if I can center myself and. There it is, in all its glory. So awesome. The packaging is awesome. Love great packaging. But this is the Rocinante from The Expanse, which I've said on occasion, I think is the best sci-fi show ever. Show being the key word there, and that's one view of it. And here's the other side. And I was mentioning too during my live unboxing that if you aren't a big Expanse fan, you really probably can't appreciate how awesome this is as someone who is, of course. I mean, it looks underwhelming if you don't really know about it, but knowing about it and loving it so much, it's great for me.
What's the materials that made out of it? Is it like a hard plastic? Is it metal?
It seems like a combination.
Okay.
Because unless there's, I don't know, some interior weight, because it's definitely not light, as if it were all just hard plastic, but it's definitely, I would say, a majority hard plastic, but there's definitely some metal parts, and it seems like there must be some, it's like not hollow or something, but yeah.
Who made that, Kevin? Do you know?
Of course I don't.
Yeah, set that thing down. You're making me nervous.
Yeah.
And if there's a glass of water beside it, you're making passion.
This is Eagle Moss Hero Collector.
Oh, okay. Funny enough, I think they announced this week that Eagle Moss filed for Chapter 11.
Oh, really?
It's a good thing you got it now.
Yeah. And actually, when you look at this picture I shared, I'll show it again real quick. The base here is different than the base here, and this is the base that's on the one I have. So I don't know whether they offered it before, and I'm getting the second time around or not, or what. I don't know. But,
probably like just a prototype.
Yeah, that could be too. Yeah.
Photo. That could have just been photoshopped in or something like that.
Yeah. And then to zoom in on me a little bit so you can see it better. This is my birthday stuff. I got a Boba Fett. This is to hold your headset for video gaming.
So either
Which I
that or
haven't actually used it yet, and it has a problem, in my opinion. This is not, it doesn't go down and up like it should. You know, it's just solid here, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to fit my headphones on here. So maybe it's lacking a little bit in engineering. I don't know. But it's cool. It's cool nonetheless. I definitely want to give it a good paint job, you know.
Hey, speaking of your birthday, I have a gift here for you. I just didn't make it over. And luckily, I didn't come over yesterday because you were out watching Thor. I was going to come over yesterday morning.
Yeah, you know, actually, my wife told me, your wife told her that, and I was like, I don't know anything about him coming over. Because she mentioned that. She's like, isn't Mike coming over? And I was like, what? I don't know. What are you talking about? So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't make it.
Yeah. And then I got this sick game. My whole family got together and bought me this because these aren't cheap. But this is so fun. This is one that I definitely, if all of us were the biggest Star Wars nerds, I would want to play this as a group with all y'all because this is a lot of fun. I love, you know, I've talked about it before with Star Wars. As much as I'm a Jedi, you know, typical characters, Rebels fan, I'm more bounty hunters, you know, scoundrels and the Outer Rim and all this stuff fan. And this game really fulfills all that. You get to be a bunch of characters, everyone from Jyn Erso to, of course, Han Solo, Boba Fett, and Dr. Aphra's in here. And you basically all go on whatever you choose you want to do out of miscellaneous options like, you know, getting bounties or just shipping illegal cargo, you know, stuff like that are your options to how to play this game. And then there's miscellaneous ships that you can choose from. So I could be Boba Fett on a Millennium Falcon, you know, and stuff like that, you know. So we played it once already. It's a lot of fun. I loved it so much. This is par for the course with me. I loved it so much that I have a couple complaints with it, but every time I have a complaint with games now, Etsy always seems to be the answer. With the way that these figures, I mean, the character cards and the ships kind of come together, it's a little bit weak. They're cool looking, but as far as functionality is concerned, it leaves something to be desired. But I looked it up on Etsy, and there's these perfect brackets that holds everything real nice and neat. Like, I like playing a game to where I feel like a good windstorm can come along and just blow everything off the table. You can put it right back up on the table and know where you were, kind of thing, you know. Yeah. And these Etsy cards do it. And then there's these little tokens for ships, but I also bought these little Etsy stands that makes the tokens like fly. It's so cool, you know. So I got those coming. Or actually, they actually came yesterday. I haven't opened them yet, but you guys wouldn't care about that. But if you ever hang out and we want to play a game, this would be. This is going to be there's already an expansion for this too that my family has told me they'll get me as well. But it's a great game.
Is it easy to?
It'll be one to
figure out.
Sorry.
Easy to figure out the rules and the gameplay.
Yeah, I've already got it all figured out. We already played. Yeah, it's so easy. Yeah. And my wife always accuses me of saying all games are easy when they aren't, but it is. It's easy. There's a bunch of stuff to do, but on your turn, there's only a minimal amount of options. So it's like I said, it's easy. And the last thing I got, which I don't even need to show you, it's just Jesse bought me a wrap for my room upstairs, my living room that you saw in the live video I put as well that says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's a wrap that kind of goes around the top. And I've got these, you know, you guys have seen my Star Wars framed pictures I've got and comic books that I've got hanging on the wall it'll fit perfectly like right above those on my wall. So I'm excited about that. She got me that too. She was good to me. Yeah. So that was all my birthday stuff. And DCBS. So
awesome.
Is that where you got the Expanse ship? Was DCBS?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That was that accidental click that you forgot to remove, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was one of the added to my lists. you know how we talked about how we shop. We'll add everything and then kind of work your way down. And that one never got taken down, but I meant for it to, you know. But and so it took a long time to get here too. I don't know why it took extra long as well. You know, I was expecting it, I think, in June, or no, maybe actually May. Yeah. So anyway, all right, that'll do it for me, Mike. What do you got?
All right. Well, funny story on how I ended up with this. So I got the Stranger Things season 1 and 2 soundtrack. Now this is a Walmart exclusive, and so it comes on this really cool vinyl. There's two records, one for each season. And I found this at Walmart on Thursday. There's the back with the track listing.
On what day?
On Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Okay.
Right. Well, you know, Friday is payday. This thing was $36. So I was like, I'm not going to buy this today. Tomorrow's payday. So I hid it behind a bunch of other records because it's the only copy there. And they have the alphabetical dividers and they're black. So I stuck it between those too. So it was like super stealthy, hidden.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, this sells for 60 and up on eBay.
Oh, really? Wow. I was going to say I'd pay 30 something for it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I was nervous about not getting it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I got another little story that's funny to me. Hopefully, you all think it's funny too. I actually almost bought an action figure. I can't even remember what it was, but I actually almost bought an action figure the other day because I was sorry, pardon my language. I was digging through action figures, and as I'm looking through all the action figures, there was one random that there was only one of, and it was way in the back. So since I don't really keep up with the action figures, aside what Pat tells me on what value of them they are, I almost bought it just because I figured someone was hiding it back there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what it was, but literally, I actually took it out and I was carrying it around for a bit, and then I just thought, you're just being dumb right now, and I ended up putting it back, but I literally thought somebody was doing what you just said, Mike, and that's why I wanted to grab it. But anyway, go ahead.
So I listened to the whole thing probably 3 or 4 times while I was bagging and boarding books yesterday. And that reminds me, we're hiding things. I was at a store, a nice little honey hole, but I found inside, the My Pretty Pony section was like this, just really deep, tons of them. My Little Pony. Is it My Little Pony?
Yeah, My Little Pony. Yeah.
Yeah. And in there, I found a stack of Star Wars books. So I bought them.
Those were Kevin's. He hid them there.
Yeah. So somebody definitely hid them there. It's a pretty good idea. I do that now. I'll hide in the, My Little Pony section. Or Archie. People don't buy Archie. There's a huge Archie section. You just hide them right in the middle of there.
Reminds me once again of a Seinfeld episode where George hid a suit that was on sale, coming out on sale on Friday. He was fighting with people and he hid it. Did you guys remember that episode? No. Yeah. Hey, I've got another attachment to your Stranger Things. So I love Stranger Things music so much that I sit through the intro every time. You know how you can skip it, of course.
Right.
I want to sit through it every time, and Jesse's gotten to a point where can we just skip this?
Same here.
Update on that as well. We got one episode. We almost made it completely through last night, but it got to me like midnight or something. So Jesse's like, I gotta go to work. So, she didn't have to go to work. She just was tired, so she couldn't stay awake. But so we didn't get the last episode watched last night, but that's where we are with the last episode. So anyway. She commented on how she just wants to skip the intro, and the Stranger Thing intro is pretty boring. Obviously, it's just a bunch of letters. But man, the music is still so good for me. I listen to it every time. Yeah. I compared it to Game of Thrones. What were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, I want to get the score as well. This is the soundtrack because they're just great, 80 songs. But I want to get the score as well because you're right, it's really good.
Oh, that's not even the score. That's the soundtrack. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So those are all the songs with little sound bites from the show between songs. It's really good.
Man, I'm sorry. I just keep talking. I got another funny story. Yesterday, I like to play whenever, especially just when I'm hanging out with friends or family, especially if I've had a couple drinks. Any song that comes along, I like to play the "You don't know who sings this" game. Obviously, Mike's familiar with it, but I mentioned this weekend too, Patrick, during my live stream. We need to hang out and have a couple drinks because that could be a good time. But anyway, I like to play the "You don't know who sings this" when I know you know, but I just want to play, right? Except my wife doesn't know because she's significantly younger than me. So I will literally ask her all the time, "Who sings this? Who sings it?" And 9 out of 10 times the answer is always Journey. That's always her first guess, right? Unless it's Journey. Literally, swear to God, every time forever that I would ask if it's a Journey song, I'm like, "You don't know who sings this? Who sings this?" And she's like, if it's a Journey song, she's like, "White Lion, Def Leppard." She just goes to my go-tos, right? So finally, this weekend though, she guessed Journey, and I was beside myself.
Nice.
We're in I have a small bathroom in my master bedroom, and we're in there together. So we're like pretty much, I've used some old terms to describe how close we were, but it's very small. So we're both in there, we're tight. And I was all like high-fiving her and stuff, and the name of the song was my favorite Journey song, which is "Separate Ways," of course. And then when they played that on Stranger Things too, I was like, "Oh, we were just talking about that this morning." Well, are you caught up on all the Stranger Things yet, Pat?
No.
All right, spoiler alert, they highlight "Separate Ways" in the second to final episode. So sorry I ruined that for you. But but of course I start singing it, right? You remember that in the close? It was such a great closing for the second to last, the episode 8, I think, of that season. It's such a great closing, Mike. So anyway.
Yep.
So I didn't realize that was a soundtrack. I was thinking it was a score, which that's why I got into a rant about a score. But that's even better for me, or as good with it being a soundtrack. I want it even more now.
Yeah, the songs are awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you there.
That's
Were you done with that one?
Yeah, I'm done. That's what I got.
Okay, that was good stuff. All right, Pat, what you got?
We mentioned the Legos for the office. It's been hard finding the blind bag minifigures around here. I don't know about down there, or whether you're even keeping an eye on that sort of thing.
I don't.
But we went to Walmart last night and they had 3 Muppet minifigures sitting there, and luckily I felt around, got who I wanted. And I was actually surprised with 3 of them that he was still there, because I figured people would snap him up.
Yeah, I would grab him, even though I'm not interested in that kind of thing. He's awesome. Yeah.
Valor picked one up too. He ended up getting Gonzo, which real quick. I'm pretty good. I can usually feel them out and figure out who's in there.
Okay.
Well, that's coming to an end because Lego's switching to boxes instead of bags. So.
Do they put codes on them? Sometimes.
Yeah, it's been, I think, pretty much determined that the codes don't mean anything on Lego figures.
How much was this?
I think it was $4.97.
Okay, so they're $5 each. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then over the past few years, Amazon Prime days have not really done it for me. I never found anything I needed or wanted.
Yeah.
This year was different. There was quite a few things I found and got some good deals on, including, this. We talked about accessories for your board games.
Yeah.
And this is, an organizer, an insert for King of Tokyo or King of New York.
You know this game? You play this game?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man. More and more reasons for us to get together all the time because I've been trying to find someone to play King of Tokyo forever. Those are great.
We all like it. Yeah.
And there's 3 of them now. I think there's King of Tokyo, King of New York, and what's the latest one?
It's coming out. It's called King of Monster Island, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Those are great. Yeah.
And this is good because you can. There's been like a couple of expansions and they standalone figures and promo figures. So I'm trying to combine. I wasn't okay. So there's a company called Broken Token, and they did like sort of balsa wood inserts, but they're over $20, and you're getting to the cost of the game at that point. So I kind of put it off, and finally I saw this company called Folded Space, and they're actually like foam core board, but they're sturdy, they're solid. But I didn't want to get two right away. I wanted to get one and see what the quality was like, and I'm happy with it. I was actually putting it together during the Whatnot show on Friday, test fitting it. You still gotta glue it together, but everything is very well cut and sized, and so I immediately ordered another one for my King of New York box.
Yeah, I love those. I tell people all the time that I'll appreciate a game that much more if they've got a real tight form-fitting, storage, part for the parts of the game. I hate when it's totally loose, or especially the ones that frustrated me that seem such a mystery to me are the ones that they'll have the compartments, but they won't fit everything properly. It's like, what were you thinking? Why is this way if I can't fit? It's so goofy.
Right.
So yeah, I love that stuff. I haven't really invested in too many of those either. But I want them again. If I had unlimited income, every game I'd have would have these kind of inserts in them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then speaking of gaming, I had put this game off and put this game off, but they had a deal for Prime Days that I couldn't resist.
Yes.
It was the base, the base retail version of Marvel United, but it came with the Spider-Verse expansion and a Doctor Strange figure. And it was,
I am so excited that you got this.
I think it was $13.07.
Wait, what? Now I'm sad. You got all this for $13?
Yes.
Daggum.
I had to get it at that point, right?
Yeah, you did.
Although, I kind of kept, one of the things I kept holding out for was a good deal on the Walmart base version because it came with a Venom figure.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But, this was sort of like, I was like, I can't pass this up. I got to get it now and try it out. So
heck yeah, I think I don't have that Spider-Man one. That one is $20 alone.
Yeah.
I've got them all now except the Spider-Man one and the Guardians of the Galaxy one.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got like so many boxes of that, and I'm excited about you having this now because I played this once with Mike, right, Mike? We played this once, right?
Yep.
So now when we get together, you'll know how to play this. So make sure you and Valor.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say I actually have to play it so I can figure it out too.
It's simple. Shocking, I would say that, but
yeah, I now I kind of regret not bringing this to your attention because you could have picked up the Spider-Man for $13.
Yeah, for less and gotten the Doctor Strange. Well, actually, I think I have the Doctor Strange in that one kit that's just figures. So. Yeah,
you could have sold the other ones on. The
yeah. Oh yeah, even I could have sold the base too.
Yeah, right.
But that's what I am. We'll call it even. You didn't get the Godzilla off me. I didn't get this deal. That's cool, though. Is that it?
That's it.
And that was awesome. As soon as I was uploading the pictures and I saw that, I was wondering, what's going on here?
So did we get any comic books?
I didn't.
Yeah, I got my DCBS order, but, I figure that's what you guys see or have anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I got my regular pool box.
All right, man. It's a good thing you didn't have to leave at 3, Pat.
Yeah. What time is it? Holy
4.
Dinner time.
All right, so let's. What do you got for a recap? Let's see. What's the order here? Looks like Mike is first.
Okay. Recap. I would like to welcome the Spinner Cam to the show.
Nice.
We'll see you again next week.
Yeah. Pat?
I was going to talk about the spinner.
I went with that first because I'm like, nobody's going to talk about the spinner.
It's the only thing I wrote down. The only other thing I wrote down was just anniversaries are good, so prepare. It's coming soon.
Nice. My first one is don't trust the haters all the time on these new movies coming out. Thor is not as bad as I've read. So.
Good.
or watched for that matter, or as far as other reviewers, So, Mike,
keep an eye on our future shows and watch for Patrick's review of Snow Angels Volume 2, The Middle.
nice. Pat.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay, The Expanse is literally the most ridiculously good sci-fi that you're going to watch. Although I'm going to double down on the Stranger Things, Mike and Pat. But Mike's seen it. It literally, it's, in my opinion, I liked Stranger Things 1 the best. This one surpasses it leaps and bounds. It's so good.
And you still have an episode to go.
And I still got the final episode. Yeah.
I think it's an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes long.
I don't
It's
know.
a movie. It's a movie.
It is so good, though. I'm loving it. Every episode, I love it a little bit more. Yeah, so.
Worth the hype.
And our very own Johnny Berger starring.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh. That since you mentioned that, it's funny too. As I'm listening to all the podcasts, we didn't question any kind of outing on all the old shows. We literally, there's not a time we don't use first and last names during every show for like the first 21 episodes. So.
I don't even know why we do it, but we do.
It's funny too. Johnny's the one that said he wanted all the hate mail anyway. So
right,
the death.
It's not like there are 3 Johnnies on the show. Well, we've got to differentiate between.
All right, you got another recap? Anything else, Mike?
Yeah. I looked it up so we can get the names. Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder are annoyingly loud in Thor: Love and Thunder, but I don't think real goats are that annoying.
yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you there, though. Man, they weren't annoying. I'm telling you, they are. They're trying to come across as annoying, but it was hilarious to me every time. Yeah, it was just fun.
I'm not surprised going back to when they showed the Funko Pops. It definitely seemed like one of the goats was going to be the comic relief, but apparently they both are.
Yeah. Matchbox focuses too much on good packaging and not enough on quality product. Mike?
Yeah, I don't have any more.
That's it? Okay.
Legos are better in bags.
Yes.
Okay.
It's true.
I'm not sure I agree with that, though, too, because your box of Lego Office, I want that now. for the minifigs alone as well, but I guess this isn't when you come up with the recap me critique it hour, so I'll shut up. But that'll do it. Anybody else? Anything else?
Yeah, don't critique my recap.
Get fair enough. Sorry. All right, so please take the poll and answer the trivia question through the Spotify app. Please do that. I really want to. I actually spend probably 10-15 minutes really trying to come up with some good questions and a good poll there. So check it out this week. It's entertaining. Subscribe to, comment, retweet, follow, like, and/or share Xcellar Comics on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and now TikTok. Also see what we have to offer on eBay at Xcellar_comics and the Very Variant Show on Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again at Xcellar_comics. I'll just put that banner up now as I finish all that. Then you can still get the same You Got a Deal or You For Real that we showed last week by letting me know you would like to claim it at You Got a Deal Out Is Mine at gmail.com, spelled out completely. Then listen to the edited version of this podcast or this live stream in a podcast form that I'll post no later than Tuesday. Also, check out all the segments that I'll put up, separating every single one of our segments individually and posting them on YouTube throughout the week. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the Very Variant Show on Friday. And then I will post an edited podcast of the Very Variant Show on Saturday as well. So in case you missed the show, you can get the third word of the Fun Fan freebie phrase, and the updated third word of the Fun Fan freebie phrase will be shown, the prize for the Fun Fan freebie phrase will be updated on the website, because I'm not going to even try to remember what all of them are right now. So I butcher that again. So I think that's it. I think I got everything. Getting pretty decent with notes here, you know. Can you guys think of anything else?
Nope.
All right, lastly, I'm just going to thank Pat for sticking around the entire time too. Hopefully you don't get in trouble. So you good, Mike?
I am good. The whole neighborhood, all the neighborhood kids just showed up at my house. So it's time to end this.
I didn't even play the Johnny's recap intro. Sorry about it.
What about your note?
Add it for the isolated recap show.
Right. So, okay. All right. That'll do it. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Check out our stuff through the week. But don't forget that appreciating great art is awesome, and reading a great story is fun. So why not pick up a comic book and do both? Xcellar out.